You can find joy in outlining. I'm Jim Heskett. I am AKA the Juggling Author, and I'm here to talk a little bit about plotting versus pantsing. Specifically because I talk in the Juggling Author book about how, in order to be efficient, I highly recommend that people create outlines or detailed beats before beginning to write a novel. And so this plotters versus pantsers debate has one that has raged in the author community for years. Maybe not so much raged, just there's two very different schools of thought on how to write. Stephen King's on writing. He's very much against outlining. He says he only ever outlined one book, and he ended up hating that book, and he just sits down, and the poetry just comes out of his fingers as he's typing. And that's great for Stephen King. But so I'm here to talk about how you can make it work, because one of the criticisms that people have expressed to me of the juggling author method is that they're not plotters. If they plot, that it ruins all joy for them in writing. And for those people, the pleasure in writing comes from sitting down in front of their keyboard with an idea or a character and then and the story comes as they go. And that's great if that works for you. But I don't think it's a very efficient method. And I think you can outline and still find pleasure in the writing process. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And I go into this in detail in the book, so I'm just going to give kind of an overview here that you can outline and leave your outline with a little bit of room for creativity. And that's what I do. I write beats. So it's not a strict outline. I don't explain every single little thing that happens in a scene. I mostly just write down the character, the conflict, and the outcome. And sometimes I don't even get that much detail. Like here's an example that I've used before. In that in this story you have a good guy and bad guy, and good guy has a secret. Good guy is hoarding the missile codes, and the scene is from the bad guy's perspective. And the bad guy wants to get the missile codes from the good guy. And so I might write on my beat, bad guy POV dash, bad guy figures out a way to get the codes from the good guy and ends up getting the codes, leaving the good guy defeated. And that's the entire beat. And you see there, I kind of describe essentially who the main players are, what the outcome is, what the ending of the scene is going to be, and then I state the conflict is that they're bad guys trying to get the codes from the good guy, but I don't explain how that happens. And that's where the fun comes in, because as I'm writing my story and I'm getting to know my characters, I will learn through that process. I will discover in that process all about my good guy and all about my bad guy. And I'm going to learn how my bad guy, what tools he or she will use to get the missile codes. And I will learn what tools my good guy, what tools he or she would use to keep the codes away from them. And then those things like setting and things like if there's any subplots that are affected by the scene, or if the scene is affected by any subplots, those are things that are going to come out during the writing process. So in this way, I can outline, I know what's going to happen in the scene, and I know where this is going to lead to the next scene, but I can still have fun when I'm writing, because I can still be writing and go, okay, now that I know this about my main character, which I learned 4 scenes ago, I know that this scene, the details of the scene are going to go this way. The reason why I outline instead of just pantsing is because I can't take the risk of my story running off the rails. I can't take the risk that I'm going to go 10,000 words down a rabbit hole that I'm not going to be able to write my way out of, and then I'm going to have to scrap those words, because for me, the time it takes me to write 10,000 words, that's a lot of wasted time. If you have 12 hours a day to write, you could probably plug out 10,000 words and be like, oh crap, this isn't working, and then go back and erase it, and you've lost a day. But for me, 10,000 words, that's several days worth of work. I can't afford to do that. So I need to know where I'm going, where I'm going to end up, and how I'm going to get there. I can play with that a little bit. I can leave myself a little bit of room for fun. And then, if I'm writing a novel that's got 50 scenes in it, after I've written 15 scenes, I might spend 20, 30 minutes to go look at the beats through the rest of it and go, well, this particular scene is going to need to change now. and this scene might be from this other person's POV, and reevaluate my beats as I go through based on the small changes that I've made. So in conclusion, you can still have fun when you're outlining by making small changes and leaving yourself room to explore. Where you want to steer clear of is making vast, large changes that require you to throw out huge chunks of your outline, or even worse, huge chunks of text you've already written. That's it. I'm Jim Heskett. This is the Juggling Author, and I hope you have a wonderful day.